Have you ever thought to yourself, there must be something I'm missing when it comes to not just losing weight, but losing weight successfully and keeping it off for life? Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. Today is interview number 4 in my exclusive sub-series of the JoLynn Braley Show, Real Results from the Inner Self Diet. Today's topic, from the Bariatric Clinic to struggle-free weight loss. Hello, welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. This is JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, weight loss mindset expert, and a whole bunch of other things. If you want to hear my whole complete list, you can go over to fearlessfatloss.com/about. And you can read all of my different certifications and all the good stuff that I bring to the table when I coach my awesome coaching clients through my proven step-by-step system, the Inner Self Diet. I have been professionally coaching amazing coaching clients out of their food and weight struggles since 2009. And the work that I do, it works every single time, as long as my coaching client just keeps things simple and follows my proven step-by-step system. I have never, ever seen it fail. And the reason that it cannot fail is because it goes to the heart of the matter. It goes deep to the root problems that are driving you to continue to make those unhealthy food choices, to continue to put yourself at the bottom of the list, to continue to binge eat, to emotionally eat, to believe that you don't deserve to lose weight, to believe that you're not good enough, to believe that you're hopeless, and all of this negative, heavy trash thinking, it's garbage thinking that is causing you to abuse yourself with food. And when you go to the heart of all of that, when you go deep to the root, things that you don't even have an awareness of in your day-to-day life because you've been stuck in this food and weight struggle for how many years? Since you were 7 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, 10 years old, and then subtract that age from your current age, that'll give you the full number of how old this problem is that no food diet has ever been able to fix for you. And there's a reason that food diets can't fix this for you, because food diets are a set of instructions for, hopefully, if it's a healthy food eating plan, it's a set of instructions for healthy eating. But how do you follow those instructions when you haven't healed the root of what causes you to continue to unconsciously behave in a way that keeps your body overweight? Are you following me? Does this make sense even a little bit? Okay. 92.8% of what is going to make you successful or a failure with your dream of weight loss, it's all about your internal world. It's all about what's going on in your inner self. It's about your mind. It's about your thoughts. It's about your unconscious belief patterns. It's about your self-image. It's about your identity. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on inside of you. And if you don't address the root of the problem, and by the way, the root of the problem is not food. Food is what you use to try to avoid and try to feel better and try to run away and try to soothe and try to cope with life. But food isn't actually the problem. Even though food can be addictive, absolutely. But it only takes 3 days to get the addictive qualities of the food out of your system. So food is still not the problem. Food is your weapon of choice. It's your crutch of choice, but it's not the problem. And that's why food diets have not fixed your ongoing struggles, your food obsessions, your unhealthy eating behaviors, your constant self-doubt, your insecurities, your anxiety, your worries, your fears, your everything, along with all of the out-of-control eating. And then you think that food and the fat on your body are the problem, when the fat on your body is a symptom. The food is the tool, and you're still not addressing the real problem. Is any of this making sense, even a little bit? I hope that it does, because what I'm attempting to do is give you a wake-up call that there's a reason why you haven't stopped struggling yet. And the good news is you can stop struggling if you do the right steps to heal the root of the problem. Does that make sense? Okay? You're not going to stop struggling with your eating and your weight if you just keep doing what you've always done, because what have you always done? What are the results that you've gotten from what you've always done? If you want more of the same, keep doing what you're doing. And then don't complain about it, because that is your choice to just keep doing what you're doing. Does that make sense? If you want something new, you've got to do something new. And today we are going to hear from Karen, and you're going to get to hear me talk with Karen. She's another awesome graduate of the Inner Self Diet. This that you're listening to right now, this is a special sub-series of the JoLynn Braley Show. If you have not listened to the introduction, go back and listen to that, because I talk in that introduction about why I'm doing this sub-series and my intention for helping you to raise your level of hope and belief that you don't have to keep struggling with food and your weight unless you choose to. Everything is a choice. You can reach out and get the help, get the coaching, get the tools, get the training, so that you can stop sabotaging yourself, so that you can start feeling really, really, really good about yourself. You know what's really funny is one of my coaching clients, after we had one coaching call, and 7 days later, she's saying that she can't really put her finger on it, but she is feeling so much better, and she's feeling a shift already. That's just after 7 days. So the most important shift, and I'm not going to share her name with you because I didn't ask her if I could share what I just told you. But it's, you know what she said, I've heard it before. So really it could be any of my coaching clients. But you're going to hear Karen right now. And this interview is, she fully gave her permission to share this with the public. And if you want to go over to fearlessfatloss.com, and if you want to read any of the testimonials from awesome folks that I've coached and raise your level of hope that, hey, wow, there's a different way out there that I have never even heard of. I've never even realized that I could stop struggling. I just have to do the steps that they did. And you can get all of that awesome inspiration over at fearlessfatloss.com/blog. And in the menu bar, just click on testimonials. That's how it's set up right now as the time of this recording. And there are also audio interviews over there. There's video interviews. And these are real life people who have gone through my proven step-by-step system. It's quite amazing. It's quite awesome. It's quite awe-inspiring, because even the most negative and most stuck people that I have coached, when they just followed my steps, they ended up ending their struggles. They stopped getting in their own way. It became struggle-free for them to eat healthy, to eat only when physically hungry, to stop when physically full, to live a healthy lifestyle. You see, when I'm talking about struggle-free weight loss, that doesn't mean that you can just keep eating boxes of Twinkies mindlessly in front of the TV each night and expect to lose weight. That's not struggle-free weight loss. Struggle-free weight loss means that you are living healthy and fit. You enjoy it. It's not a big deal. You're not sabotaging yourself, and you don't feel like you're missing out. Does that make sense? So in other words, you have to do something. You got to you got to eat in a healthy way and move your body in a healthy way. You've got to do things to get the body you want. But it's not a big deal to do those things once you have healed the root of what has caused you to get to where you are right now. And you got to, of course, stop the unhealthy eating behaviors. Does all of this make sense? Okay. So that's the work that I do with my awesome coaching clients. And we're going to hear from Karen right now. And before we do that, if you want my help to stop struggling yourself so that you can finally live a healthy lifestyle, feel awesome about yourself, get to your goal weight and stay there. The first thing that you need to do is go over to www.discovery-session.com. You need to enter your first name and email address, and then on the next page, there's an application for you to fill out. As of the time of this recording, it's complimentary for you to apply for and get on the phone for this complimentary weight loss discovery session with me. And an application is required because there's just not enough time in the day. Let's be real here, right? Let's get real. There's not enough time in the day for me to talk to everybody who just wants to say hi or tell me that they love the podcast. I think all of that is awesome, and I would love it if that's you. If you really aren't looking to make any real changes and you're happy with the results that you're getting with your eating and your weight, but you just want to tell me that you love the JoLynn Braley Show, then go over to iTunes and look up the JoLynn Braley Show and make sure that you subscribe and then rate and review the show. I believe this is a 5-star show because I'm real with you guys. I'm telling you the real state of affairs, meaning that I'm not telling you that all you need is to do keto or you just need to eat clean or you just need to go to Weight Watchers. Hey, any of those things can help some people lose weight. In fact, there's a lot of unhealthy ways out there to lose weight. The only way I recommend physically for weight loss is living a healthy lifestyle. It's got to be a lifestyle. But if I were to just tell you those things, what good does that do? You can get that information anywhere. Why aren't you already doing what you know you need to be doing? Does that make sense? And so that is what my coaching is all about in the Inner Self Diet. And if you want to find out if it would be a good fit for a good mutual fit for you to achieve struggle-free weight loss with my help in the Inner Self Diet, you first have to have that complimentary weight loss discovery session with me because I have to find out. We have to talk. I have to find out, where are you stuck? What's going on with you? Why is it so important for you to stop binge eating, stop emotional eating, start feeling good about yourself again? What's going on with you? So again, your first step is to go over to www.discovery-session.com, apply, and then you need to watch your email. Look for the email from scheduling because they're going to send you an email to schedule a time to get on the call with me and then find out if or how I can help you personally. And that's what, it's pretty simple. You just have to follow the steps, okay? The discovery session application is only for you if you are serious. You really want to make a big, bold change. You are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you believe that you deserve better. You have a feeling in your gut that the way that you're living and the way that you deal with food is not healthy, and that there's something better out there for you, but you have no idea how to get it. You've never been able to achieve permanent weight loss on your own. So start at www.discovery-session.com. And with all of that being said, we're going to listen to Karen now. And Karen is going to tell you about the fact that she had her own bariatric clinic. She knows exactly how to teach healthy eating. She knows all of the ins and outs of healthy eating, healthy living. But one thing she noticed when she had that clinic is that it didn't matter. It didn't matter if the individual had weight loss surgery. It didn't matter if they had all of the nutrition information they needed. If they didn't change on the inside, and I don't mean their intestines, I mean if they didn't change their mindset, their emotional state, the way that they thought, if they didn't go to the heart of things, then they just went right back to their old eating behaviors. And have you ever heard of or done research on the fact that most people who get weight loss surgery, it's not even a fix for them? Temporarily, a lot of them do lose weight, but most of them end up gaining all the weight back. It's easy to stretch the stomach out again. And the problem is that the issues that caused the overeating and the weight gain in the first place, they can't be fixed by just cutting out a part of the physical body, because that's not where the actual problem is. All right, are you following me? Does this make sense? In fact, I've actually had a couple coaching clients who had weight loss surgery in the past, and it still was not fixing the real issues. And that's why they got into the inner self diet. Very, very smart of them. Now, just to clarify here, Karen, she was not a patient or anything in a bariatric clinic. She owned a bariatric clinic. It was trying to help these other people, and she realized that, there's more to the story, and she wanted to help herself fix her own story, fix her own problems, and get all the way to her goal weight and stay there. And so a couple things that I'd like to just point out that really stood out to me about what Karen said is, number one, she realized that her relationships transformed greatly when she transformed herself, especially her marriage. And these were things that she had tried to change previously. And the thing is, we can't change other people, but we can change ourselves. And when we change ourselves, the relationships that we have automatically change. Now, you might wonder, what does this have to do with weight loss? Well, everything has to do with you. And you are the one who must change in order to get to your goal weight and stay there. And when you have a significant inner self change so that you can live a healthy lifestyle without it being any big deal, that significant of a change is so positive that it changes how you relate not only to food and to yourself, but to other people. And as a byproduct, your relationships get better. Does that make sense? So that's one thing that you're going to hear Karen talk about. You're also going to hear her talk about the fact that she used to struggle for over 35 years with this food and weight topic, and she felt pretty hopeless and a lot of self-doubt and a lot of negativity, which is very common for my coaching clients to be in that space when they first start out on this path. But now you're going to hear her talking after she completed the inner self diet. We'll also get to hear what she says when I ask her, hey, is weight loss truly struggle-free now? So let's hear what Karen has to say. We'll just jump into that interview now.
Hello, welcome to the call. This is JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that is not a diet, the diet that actually fixes the real problem. Whatever the real problem is, if it's emotional eating, binge eating, yo-yo dieting, low self-confidence, low self-esteem, whatever the problem is that is driving your unhealthy eating habits, that problem gets fixed and healed and released in the Inner Self Diet. So then you're free. You're free of the problem, and then you're able to just live a healthy lifestyle to allow the fat to come off and stay off. And I'm on the line right now with a recent graduate of the Inner Self Diet. She's a really cool lady. Her name is Karen. She's from the beautiful Alberta, Canada, and she has just recently gone through the steps of the Inner Self Diet, and we're here to talk with her for just a minute to find out what her experience has been. And something to keep in mind is that words do not teach, only experience teaches. And so Karen has done the steps, she's gotten the experience, and we're going to hear how things have gone for her. And one other thing before we hear from Karen, my hope is for you who's listening is that you get inspired and you raise your level of hope that it is possible for you to end your food and weight struggles and drop the fat and keep it off. So that, if you can get that hope out of listening to what Karen has to share, that's absolutely fantastic, because that will start leading you in the direction of actually getting those results. You'll have to take action to get those results, but it's so much easier when you're able to believe in yourself and believe that it's possible. So with all of that being said, hey, Karen, welcome to the call.
Hi.
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 I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. And before we get started, would you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, about your background, just so that the folks listening can just have a little bit of background about you, where you're coming from?
Hi. Yeah, I can do that. My name is Karen, and I am actually 51. I am married to a wonderful man. Actually, I'm remarried, and I have 3 beautiful children and a granddaughter. My life, since I was very young, actually, I think at age 11, I struggled with being overweight. And up until age 40, I lost and gained, and I did every diet. I lost and gained, I could lose 50, 60 pounds easy, but I always gained it back. When I hit 40, I was my heaviest, and there was some health crisis, and I realized that there was more to it than just a diet and exercise, and that was when I really really understood that it was what's going on inside of you. So from the next 10 years on, being a nurse, I knew the health issues. So I really decided it was time to look after myself and do the healthy thing. And I did lose. I lost 100 pounds, and I was doing really well. But and it was all about diet and exercise. I did some inner work, but not enough, I see now, because the last couple years I just struggled with, 20 pounds, and that was what really was getting to me, was that 20 pounds that I was so struggling with trying to keep off. I had to really over-exercise and restrict to keep that weight down, and I realized I can't do this forever. So that was what was really getting to me. And I knew how to eat. I quit nursing, ran a nutritional consulting clinic for 2 years, because after working at the bariatric clinic, I realized, okay, there's more to this. So even knowing how to eat, I still really struggled with that 20 pounds. So that's what ended up leading me to your program, because I knew there was something else that I needed to do other than that diet and the exercise, and I knew it was about what's going on my inside that I needed to deal with.
Mm-hmm. This is really awesome, because you are exactly the ideal woman that I talk about and write about. You already knew exactly what to do physically to lose the weight, to drop the fat. That wasn't the problem. But you also were really smart, really wise to have realized that, yeah, you know what, there is more to this problem. And before we get into your biggest challenges, I'm just curious, when you said that you worked at the bariatric clinic and that opened your eyes that there is more to this than just the physical, what did you see at the bariatric clinic? What did you experience with these other folks dealing with probably extreme obesity? Is that correct?
Yes.
So what did you experience there that told you, hey, there's a lot more to this than just diet and exercise?
What really opened my eyes was, these people were going and getting, the stomach surgery, so getting a huge portion of their stomach out, losing the weight. So if it was all about food and how to eat or how much to eat, they can't eat much. So, but that wasn't the case. They started with not being able to eat much, but as life went on, and a year later, they were going back to, they kept their old ways and habits, and they were starting to gain that weight back again. So if it was all just about, okay, well, limit how much you eat, they wouldn't have gained this weight back again. And working with them, and talking to them, it was what was going on inside of them. I could see that it's their old ways and their old habits and their thoughts and beliefs that were pulling them back into gaining that weight back again.
Isn't that interesting? And there are actually statistics. I don't have them in front of me, but there are statistics on the percentage, the high percentage of folks who do have some kind of weight loss surgery and they gain it all back, and sometimes more than what they weighed in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and this is, I've talked about this before just in general on a couple of my podcast episodes, but the thing is that when you get weight loss surgery, it's only cutting out a part of the physical body. It's not cutting out the real problem, and the real problem is in the head. It's in the beliefs. It's in the thought patterns. It's in the emotional state. It's inside. It's the inner world. It's the inner self. And cutting out a piece of a stomach or cutting out intestines, that doesn't change what led the person to become overweight in the first place, which you understand that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Now, good news is that stuff can be changed, and that's what you've been doing here. So what, before we get into your biggest successes and your experience here in the Inner Self Diet, what was your biggest food and weight challenge? I mean, I know you shared that you were really struggling with the 20 pounds, but were you struggling with binge eating, emotional eating, nighttime stuffing? You know, what was your biggest food challenge, your eating behavior challenge before the Inner Self Diet?
Well, it was really, like, I was a binge eater for many, many years. So the binge eating wasn't an issue anymore. I had worked through that one. It was just the pull to snack and to grab anything. So it wasn't that I was binge eating, but I was overeating. I was eating more than my body needed to. I would walk by that fridge and every day, like, you know, many times a day, and the pull to just grab something, get something, I needed something. So that, I knew I wasn't hungry. I knew it wasn't physical hunger, but I couldn't stop myself from taking something out of the fridge or the cupboard. So that was my biggest. And then also to just struggling with getting back to the full healthy eating. I was for the most part, but there was some times where I just wanted that not so great food, and as well as exercising. I just was avoiding it.
Okay, cool. So what about, first of all, you said that you would feel like you would need to have something else when you'd walk past the refrigerator, even though you weren't physically hungry. Where is that today? Are you still struggling with that? What happened with that?
Oh, that's gone. I don't have that now. Actually, sometimes I have to remind myself it's time to eat. Food is not, like, food was so, that was all I could think about before. Now that doesn't take all my brain space and my energy. So now I eat my healthy meals. And if I do want to have something, like, there is the times where that thought does pop in my head, but I actually can now stop and actually see where that's coming from and not need that food. It's not a need anymore. It's if I want it, if it's time, or if that's what I want. So food is not the front of my thoughts of every day now.
Awesome. And you got these results from doing my proven steps in the Inner Self Diet?
Yes, I did. It was funny because I never really, as you're doing them, I didn't really see that doing them was making those changes, but at the end, you don't see that that's what you're doing makes those changes, but it all works together, and at the end you get where I am now. I got to this place of it isn't. So when you talk about that struggle-free, actually it feels exactly not a struggle anymore. And that was exactly where I wanted to be in my life.
This is awesome, and you're right. I've heard this many times before, and I've experienced myself too. When you're doing the steps in the Inner Self Diet, it's not like this instant gratification. Oh my God, my pull to snack is gone. But you do the steps, and then they all build up over time, and then you get to this point where you're like, wow, I don't do that anymore. I don't binge eat anymore. I'm not emotionally eating every time the sun goes down. I'm not walking past the refrigerator and grabbing junk food every time I go past. I'm not thinking about food all the time. When did this happen? And then you look back and you see, hey, I've been doing my daily action steps. I've been doing the steps. They seemed pretty simple. A lot of them are just pretty simple. And I've been doing them, and I guess that they worked, you know?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and I also want to clarify, we're not talking about getting to a place of perfection. If you really, 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 really want, and it's your choice, and you feel good about eating a cookie or donut or whatever it is, then you're able to do that. But it's not a need or an obsession or a have to have anymore. Is that correct? Is that true for you, Karen?
Yes, that's exactly, like, you know, there are times that, okay, I do want that, you know, whatever it is. Like, I like my fig bars, so that's one of my thing. And I look going, okay, do I really need it, or is it that I need it, or is it that I want it? One of the other things that really, as we're talking, I thought about was going out to eat. And that was one of my struggles before too, was I'd go out to eat and going with my husband and, you know, oh, I want that burger, and if I don't have it, then I feel like I'll miss out. And now that's not there anymore. I actually can choose what I want to eat and that would feel right for me and feel good later, instead of feeling like I should have it because I'll miss out on how wonderful it would taste. But ultimately now I realize, and I don't go for that anymore. I don't have that ruling me anymore as well, that I'll feel like I'm missing out if I don't have it.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This is true freedom, isn't it?
It is. It not to say that there's times where other things are going on in my life that sometimes the old habit of that food will come back, but it doesn't take over my life anymore like it used to. I can see where it's coming from now, and the food, I can separate it now.
So what does that mean, that you could have other things going on in your life, but that old habit could come back? Can you explain more? What does that mean?
Well, one of the things is I really realized that why I was doing what I was doing with, like, grabbing that food and you know, walking by that fridge and grabbing, was because there's things that are going on in my life that maybe are stressful or overwhelming, and I thought I knew that I was feeling, but I actually wasn't feeling, and that's why I was doing what I was doing, because it was to numb out or avoid. So now when things come up in my life, I can see where it's coming from and sit with what's going on instead of turning to food now to deal with what's going on.
Okay, so are you saying that the Inner Self Diet did not make your life perfect? It did not take away all of your problems, but when you have problems with people, with work, with your car breaking down, whatever it is, when you have problems, you're able to now use the tools of the Inner Self Diet to go through those problems without grabbing food to try to stuff it down. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, very, very true, because life has always something going on. Like there's, I don't know who has a perfect life of nothing coming up. So yes, that it is. It's, I can go through whatever I'm going through and not have food as my go-to.
Yeah, excellent. And this is true. The inner self diet will not make everything happy, happy, smiley, smiley, perfect, perfect in your life. What it does is when you go through those challenges and maybe you have a disagreement with somebody or you know, all kinds of things that can happen in your life. You know, unfortunately, people die, and it really sucks. We can't control that, but when you're able to go through those things and go through them without stuffing down your feelings with food and without trying to avoid, like what you said, then you really, really are free. And then it might sound funny, but when you have these problems and these pains and these times of grief and upset and stress, it might sound funny, but hey, at least you can look good, and probably that's not what your main concern is during times of high stress, but you know, you could look good and go through it and then come out on the other end, and when the stress is gone, you're still happy with your body. Maybe that sounds trite. Does that make sense? What do you think about that, Karen?
Oh, yes. What actually, what I think about when you're saying that is what I used to do was I'd have stress and then I'd go eat and then I'd beat myself up for eating and I'd still have that stress. So now I have that stress. Actually, I don't even think of it as stress now. Maybe that's even changed as well. I think of it, okay, what is this that's going on? What can I do about it or not do about it? And not have that food, and then that doesn't compound what's going on. So I look at it that way now.
That's really awesome. Hey, I'm just curious, before we ever met, before you ever enrolled in the Inner Self Diet, before we ever had that very first phone call together, did you think it was really possible to get to where you are right now with this state of freedom?
No, I had a lot of doubts. Lots of doubts because I've done so many things in my life, and you know, it's like, will this ever change? That was technically where I was at.
Hey, I appreciate your honesty, because I bet you anything the folks listening right now are in the same place.
There's a lot of people that have done so many diets, and I've done a lot of inner work too, and I was just like, hey, when is this going to shift? When is it going to change? Is it ever going to change?
Yeah. Hey, what are some of those diets that you did in the past? Because I bet you anything that whoever's listening, they've done the same stuff. Could you rattle off? It's probably really easy for you. What are some of those things that you did in the past to try to fix this problem?
Oh, I've done, well, all the fad diets out there, like Atkins and, just all those different fad diets. I did Weight Watchers many times. I got down to my goal weight. I think it was 3 times. Sorry, not many. 3 times. I got down to my goal weight every time, and then I just gained it back again. I did Jenny Craig. I did Ideal Protein. It was pretty much all those basic fad diets and diet clinics out there.
Okay, well, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, those are well known. And also, like you said, it's not, at least this is what it sounds like what you said, it's not that Weight Watchers didn't work. It actually did work. You got all the way to your goal weight. But unless you heal the inner self stuff, then it's really easy to gain it back. Is that correct? I mean, you agree Weight Watchers can work.
Yeah. Oh, no, they all do. Like, actually, I ran a nutritional consulting company clinic for 2 years. I worked with clients. I had a dietitian. I had a nutritionist. We all worked together with clients. I learned so much more from the dietitian. We gave plans out. I knew how to eat. Like, I absolutely knew. I ate so clean and healthy for a long time, but it was a challenge on keeping that weight off and eating properly. I just found a struggle and I knew exactly how to eat.
Mm-hmm. And are you able to eat clean now and it's not a struggle? Is that correct?
Yeah, before I knew how to eat and what to eat, but it was that I felt like I had to eat that. Like, I knew I had to eat that way, and I made myself eat that way, even though there was a big part of me that wanted maybe not all, wanted some other not so great foods, some processed foods. Now, I really have no desire most times. There are times that's not, but for the most part, I want to eat healthy. I want to eat those clean, healthy foods, and I don't want those foods that my body doesn't need.
Very cool. And hey, didn't you have a transformation with the topic of exercise too? Can you share, before the Inner Self diet, how did you feel about regular exercise just as part of a healthy lifestyle? Where were you at with that before the Inner Self diet?
Where I was is I was a runner when, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, that's what, I got into, was running to lose that weight. And I did love to run, but I ran more for the fact if I had to run and I needed to run to keep the weight off or lose the weight. And I stopped running, it was about 6-7 months I hadn't done any exercise because it was that feeling like I have to, and I just didn't want to do it. And then one day, I just have this feeling I just want to go run, and I started running. And it's funny because when I ran before, I found it so difficult. I found it hard. Like, I was watching the time. Now I actually run. I'm back to running and working out. I'm doing some HIIT workouts, and I do it because I want to do it and I enjoy doing it. And it's actually easy now. Not to say it doesn't hurt a bit when I push myself a little bit because I feel like I want to do that. But it's a lot. I do it now because I want to do it, not because I need to and have to do it.
Yeah, this is freaking awesome. Let's just say it like it is. Let's just get real. Nobody is going to lose weight and keep it off without doing some work. You're going to have to change how you eat. You're going to have to, if all you do is eat junk food, that's going to need to change. You're going to need to change how you move your body, have a regular, healthy, fit lifestyle. Okay, and I think that everyone listening has that common sense and they know these things. Just like you have tons of knowledge about nutrition and all of your background, being a nurse, all of this wonderful physical information and knowledge that you have. And the thing is, though, is that when you're able to do what you're doing right now, where you actually want to work out, right? You want to do the exercise. You want to move your body. And that doesn't mean that you don't take action and there's not work to do to get up to go do those exercises, right? But when you want to do it and you want to eat healthy, and here and there you have a fig Newton or a fig, the fig Newtons, is that right? Fig cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And here and there you have one of those, but I imagine you're not eating them every day for every meal, right?
Oh no, it's a treat for me.
Yeah, and so when you're able to live a healthy lifestyle and have a treat once in a while of a fig Newton cookie, and you're working out and you want to work out, where is the struggle in any of this? Where is the problem?
There isn't. There really, really isn't.
Yeah. This is really cool. This is freaking awesome. Yeah, there isn't a problem, is there?
No, there is no problem with the eating and the exercise at all. It then really goes back to, for me, it goes back to, okay, what's going on inside of me in that situation I'm in, or my thoughts. That's where the struggle sometimes feels like, but then even that I'm working on, it's a work in progress, is taking that struggle, even that struggle out of me, working on that. So it's layers, pulling back the different layers.
And do you have the tools to do that now? Did you get the tools in the Inner Self Diet to do that?
Yes. It's a matter of just using. It's a matter of using them.
Yeah, and you are using them, aren't you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like we were talking about a few minutes ago, the Inner Self Diet does not make your life perfect. It doesn't take away all problems and contrasting situations. And you are correct. The biggest challenge is doing the inner work. But when you do the inner work and you use the tools that work, which you've got from the Inner Self Diet, then there's no struggle to work out your body. There's no struggle to eat healthy, and all of that stuff is just not a big deal. Is that true for you?
Yes, and even the struggles outside of, outside of the food and the exercise, the struggles that I was having with my husband at times and my daughter at times, that I found was really consuming. So if it wasn't food consuming my mind, then it was those struggles that were consuming my mind. And that's even shifted. That's changed. Now, so my situations haven't changed, but I have changed so that they don't take up they don't consume me. They don't take over my thoughts. I can have them separate and do what I need to do and have that still going on, but I deal with it in such a different way now that it doesn't get to me anymore.
And did you expect to get that result from the Inner Self Diet? Did you expect to have this transformation in having an easier time dealing with other people? Did you expect that when you came to the Inner Self Diet?
No, because other people too have always had told me before, it's you can't control somebody else, or you can't do anything about it, so just forget about it, or don't let it bother you. I knew that, but I couldn't quite I didn't integrate that, and now that's integrated, and I've experienced that, and now I understand it. That's what the big difference is now.
Yeah, words do not teach, only experience teaches. And you have to have the tools to work with so that you can get the experience that you have now. Because just thinking about these things and just hearing that you can't control other people, which is true, just hearing that, it's just words. But when you've got tools to work with to address what's going on within your inner self, then you're still not controlling other people, but you're able to deal with your emotional state and your inner world so that when other people do what they do, you can go through those experiences and not beat yourself up with overeating.
Yes, that's what I was doing before, is with what was going on, and I then turned to food as well. So I don't turn to food, and I don't latch on to trying to control. So those two things have really shifted.
Yeah. And hey, I'm just curious. So you came to the Inner Self Diet struggling with the last 20 pounds. What has shifted so far with those 20 pounds? Have you dropped any of the physical weight yet? How is that going?
I have lost about 5 of it now, but it's not even so much about the number on the scale. because of just really getting moving again and working out. My clothes fit way, way, way better. So I'm way more toned as well. So the weight is coming off because it's only been in the last month that I've really then changed. The eating was coming, but now it's just in the last month that that's really changed and the exercising has changed. So it's been it's been probably about good 5 pounds and size-wise a large amount.
Awesome. What size did you start out at, and what size are you now?
I started out at size 8, and my clothes before were 6, and those size 6s were really, really tight, and now they're fitting. They're a little snug, but they're getting there now.
Okay, I don't know if maybe your call waiting is going off, but your voice kind of cut out a little bit there. Did you say that you started out at a size 8 and now you're at a size 6, although the size 6 are snug? Is that what you said?
So yeah, I started out at a size 8, and the 8s were they were snug. My old clothes were a size 6. So now those 8s are getting, they are fitting a little loose now. So I'm on my way now to getting back to where I was before I gained this 20 pounds.
Awesome. Are you happy with your physical progress so far?
Yes, I am.
Very cool. Because is it true that you've got everything you need to release the other 15 pounds, and you know that you'll be able to keep that off once you get there? Is that true for you, Karen?
I do. I really do believe this time with these tools and with these changes that I don't need to be struggling to get off that last bit of weight and keep it off. It's not so much about losing it, because I've always been able to lose it. It's actually keeping it off struggle-free.
Yeah. And hey, if Holly can do it, you can do it. I mean, Holly, you might have heard me talk about her before. I coached her back in 2011, and she had been struggling for over 30 years with binge eating, major, very, very out of control binge eating. And she did the steps that you've done, and she was also 20 pounds overweight. She did drop that 20 pounds. She has never gained it back, and she still sends me updates. And she has not had the binge eating come back either. And if she has had even a twinge, then she just uses the Inner Self diet tools, and it's just not a big deal, you know. So you've done the same steps. You've got the same tools. Why not? You're already doing it. You don't need me to tell you this, do you?
No, I know it will work, and it is working already.
Yeah. Hey, what was your biggest surprise transformation that you got out of the Inner Self diet that you never, ever would have thought you would have gotten out of this?
I think I've talked about it already, but I do believe it's a matter of my relationships with other people, like with my husband and my children. I guess the thing is, I never thought that situations that were outside of me would ever change with working on, coming to somebody that I'm working with on diet or eating. I didn't really think that my relationships would change, and my relationships are a lot better now because of the work I've done on myself.
Oh, hey, I'm glad that you explained that, because I didn't hear that earlier in the call. So it kind of sounds like, okay, so the truth is we can't control other people. That's true. But it sounds like what you're saying is because you've been working on yourself, your relationships have actually transformed and gotten better because you've worked on yourself. And so it kind of looks like these people have changed when really what's changed is you, but then because you changed, your relationships changed and got better. Is that correct? Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes. With my husband, it was a struggle for, 6 years now of the same situation happening. And now I don't have that as much. It is shifting. I've only done this, use these tools for 12 weeks, so I can't expect everything to change overnight, but things are changing, and I was so frustrated and struggling and trying to control him to change. Now that I've changed, now that I'm not trying to control, and that's changing him as well. So I've changed myself, which is then really changing him as well. And trying to get him to change, I step back going, it's not my business, it's not my place, but I guess it just trickles over, and it's made a big difference in our relationship.
That is awesome, and I have heard this before many times. A lot of my coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet are married, and they have good marriages, but then when they do the Inner Self Diet and they work on themselves, their marriage gets 10 times, 20 times better. And it's not that they went to marriage counseling or anything like that. All they did was focus on themselves and cleaning up their own stuff, and then that impacted their relationship for the better. And they weren't coming for relationship counseling, they want to lose weight. But that is a byproduct, because the food and weight problems, they're not food and weight problems. They are life problems and deeper problems, and that stuff is what needs to be healed in your inner self. And then you're free of the food and weight problems, but because it's a bigger problem, then that transforms everything else too. So good for you for following through and doing these steps, staying consistent, and doing the work, which, people don't like to hear that word, do they? But guess what? You got to do shit to get different results. And if you want to call it play, or you want to call it work or steps or whatever you call it, you got to take action to get different results in your life. And you deserve to congratulate yourself for taking the action that you've taken so far to get to where you are, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And hey, imagine that right now the old Karen is listening to this. Now, this is the woman who is doubting that things will ever change. She wants to make changes, but she's had so many years of struggle, and she is hoping that things can be different, but she's skeptical, and then she's thinking, oh, well, sounds like it worked for her, but how would I know it would work for me? And she's in that place that you were in before you and I ever talked on that first phone call, and she's listening right now, though. What do you want to say to her so that if it's possible that you can help her to avoid another 5, 10, 20 years of struggle? What do you want to say to her where she's at right now?
What I would say is, if you're really ready, like really ready to want to change, to let go of that struggle, that it is possible. You do have to do the work, but it is possible to make this shift, make this change, and get to a struggle-free place with your food, with weight, and your body. Even though you're skeptical, it can happen, and it will if you really want it to.
Yeah, and you have to want it. I mean, otherwise what's going to change, right?
Yes.
And you know what? there's a really big problem today because of the internet and because of social media, and it's actually creating problems with folks being able to hold down a job, but also with this overweight and obesity topic, it's majorly impacting this area of people's lives. And what I'm referring to is the habit of expecting instant results and instant gratification, and there is no instant change except the instant fix you can get by going to a fast food drive-through. You know, you can get an instant fix eating food, but that's not going to lead you to the body you want. And with that being said, though, I mean, you said that you've been doing these steps for 12 weeks and you've had all of these major transformations. How many years total, when you look back over your life and when you first started struggling with this food and weight topic in any way, you might have been like me at that time when I was a kid. I was 7 years old. I was not overweight, but that's where my struggle started. How many years total were you struggling with this whole thing, this whole topic, before the Inner Self Diet?
Oh, 30, at least 30 years. Actually, more than 30 years, probably about 30, almost 35 years.
Okay, so 35 years versus 12 weeks. What can you say about that?
What I can say about it is to have this transformation in 12 weeks compared to for 35 years is very big. It's huge. And to think about, okay, this is only 12 weeks, I can, if I keep doing this, which I will, if I keep doing the work and keep putting the effort in and using the tools, that of course it will, I'll keep where I'm at and keep transforming and keep growing. And so yeah, I can't expect to have something change overnight when I've been holding on to this and struggling with it for that many years.
Yeah. Hey, is there anything else that you really want to share with the old Karen before we get off of this call? Is there anything else that you want to make sure that she hears from you before we wrap up?
That there is, even though you feel hopeless and you feel, you know, you've got all these dreams and you want to get there and you think about them, but you don't think it will ever happen. You just, that doubt is so stuck in there. When you actually trust and believe in this process and put that work in, that you can get to a place of not having that food consume your mind all the time, and your weight and your body. Like, those were all the things that I just were constantly thinking and focusing on and beating myself up, and I didn't even want to accept where I was. And all of that can change, and it has changed.
Yeah, and in just 12 weeks.
Yeah, it feels really good.
Very cool. And for those of you listening, if you are ready, like Karen said, if you're excited, if you really are serious about making the change, getting the shift, if you want to stop struggling with your food and weight challenges, if that's emotional eating, if it's binge eating, if it's what Karen was going through, where she had already dropped 100 pounds, but she was struggling with the last 20. In fact, actually, I think that you had gotten all the way to your goal weight and then you gained 20 back. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And so if you can relate, and you've gotten to your goal weight before, but you've regained either all of the weight or part of the weight, and you just want to fix this problem at the root. Okay? Food diets cannot fix it at the root. That's why folks continue to struggle. Well, even Karen, you know, she has worked in a bariatric clinic, And what she was sharing with us before about how these folks would get the weight loss surgery, and then a year later they're still struggling with the overeating and gaining the weight back. So it's clear that this is not, it's not a problem that is physical. It's not about the food. It's not about the stomach. It's not about the overweight either. It's not about the fat on your body. The fat on your body is a symptom of a bigger problem. You're overeating, you're out of control eating, binge eating, that's a symptom of a bigger problem. And so what you want to do is, if you really want to fix this once and for all, you want to go to the root of that bigger problem and heal that. And that's what I do with my clients like Karen in the Inner Self Diet. And if you really want to have these kinds of results where you set yourself free and you're able to just live a healthy lifestyle, have a cookie once in a while like Karen is doing with the Fig Newtons, and drop the extra weight, okay? She started out with 20 pounds. She's got 15 to go. She's gone from a very tight size 8 to a size 6. And, you know, the weight thing, that takes, the physical weight, that's the part that takes the longest. But when you have done the inner self steps, the inner self work, it's okay while you're on your journey to releasing the fat, because you're no longer impatient and you're able to just do it. It's not a big deal. So if you want these kinds of results, your first step is to go to www.discovery-session.com. It's discovery-session.com. And you need to opt in there with just your first name and email. And then on the next page, there'll be an application that you fill out, because you can apply to have a complimentary weight loss discovery session with me. Because it is complimentary, you must complete an application. And it's the same first step that Karen took to get to where she is now. That's how you get started. Before we go, I just want to make sure that what I said there, that's definitely true for you, Karen, that is it really struggle-free? I know we've talked about this already, but just to end on this note, I talk all the time about how you can get struggle-free weight loss in the Inner Self Diet. Is it really, really struggle-free? Is this really true, Karen?
Yes, for me, with food, it is struggle-free right now.
And with exercise too, isn't it?
Yes, food and exercise is, to me, right, and it will be. It is struggle-free, and the weight, it will come off. I know it will if the food and the exercise are there.
Yeah. Now, when you say it's struggle-free right now, I can see that could cause a person, oh, what does that mean, right now? You mean tomorrow it won't be? Can you just explain that before we end the call?
Sorry, to me, I've never had that before. So to me, I have it now, and I will have it because I have these tools to use.
Right. So is what you're saying is that the way that you got this struggle-free freedom, the way that you got to this place is from the tools of the Inner Self Diet, and you've got struggle-free weight loss, struggle-free freedom with your food, with exercise. You have that right now, and you'll continue to have it because you'll keep using the tools. Is that right?
Yes, I will have, yes, to me, this is the way my life is now and will be if I use the tools.
Yeah, and that is a very good point, because the Inner Self Diet works. You just have to do it. And I talk about this on almost every one of my podcasts. Yeah, the Inner Self Diet works, but it's not going to work for anybody who just listens to me talk about it. It's not going to work for anybody who's just listening to you, Karen, talk about how struggle-free it is. You actually have to get the tools. You got to use them. You got to do them. And it's, you know, this is not some kind of a magical fix. And it's not a, oh, I did that, I've been there, done that, now I can just go back to how I was always thinking and reacting and eating. No, it's you want to make sure that you have a daily practice of feeding your mind before your body, because your mind is what is the engine of what creates your entire world. And as long as you keep that on track, you're golden. And what can help you keep it on track is the tools that you have now in the Inner Self Diet, Karen. And yeah, it's true, you do have to use them. And for anybody who's listening to this, who is looking for some kind of a magical fix or some kind of a thing that you can do just one time and then you're done for the rest of your life, the Inner Self Diet is not a good fit for you. And I do not want you to apply for a complimentary weight loss discovery session like what I was talking about at discovery-session.com. This is not a good fit for anybody who is just looking for some kind of magic. Don't you agree, Karen?
Yes, there is no magic pill or solution out there. It is a matter of just putting that time and effort into yourself, because you are worth it and you deserve it.
Yeah, I love that. Let's end on that because that is perfect. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing your experience, Karen. Thank you for allowing me to get real with our listeners, and thank you for backing me up that it's true that there is no magic, okay? And anybody can lose weight, you can just follow a healthy eating plan, an exercise plan, but that's not going to fix what made you overweight in the first place, and then it's really easy to backslide. So, the Inner Self Diet is only for folks who want to end this struggle once and for all, and they want to release the fat and keep it off. And remember, if that is you, you can go to www.discovery-session.com and get started there. Thank you so much for being here today, Karen. I am 100% positive that there will be at least one person who listens to this and they get inspired and they raise their hope that they can have these results too. They just have to do the steps. I am JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, and as always, I wish you your best life while living inside of your ideal body. Yay!
Hey, congratulations. You listened to the entire interview with Karen. That's pretty awesome because I know that some of these interviews in this special sub-series, they are a little bit longer, but how cool is it that you get to hear from a real life person who used to be where you are now, and they did something different. They did something totally new. They did the Inner Self Diet, and now they're struggle-free with food and their weight. And I sure hope that this interview with Karen helps you to raise your level of hope and inspiration that, wow, I could do this too. And really the only difference between you and Karen is the steps that she did and the steps that you haven't done. That's the only difference. There's nothing else. You either do something new to get new results, or you don't. And that's really as simple as it can be. Hey, if you want to stop struggling with food and your weight, and if this is really important to you and you're serious about it, then do the same thing that Karen did. You need to start out by going over to www.discovery-session.com, enter your first name and email. On the next page, complete the application, and then after you submit that application, you're going to get an email from my scheduling department. You need to watch out for that because they're going to give you a time for when we can get on the phone together, and then you need to reply to them in that email to confirm the scheduling time slot. And then you just need to answer the phone when I call, and let's find out what's going on with you. If you're serious about achieving struggle-free weight loss for yourself and you're excited about what you heard Karen say, then your first step is to go over to www.discovery-session.com. All right, I will be back for the next interview in this special sub-series of the JoLynn Braley Show, Real Results from the Inner Self Diet. As always, I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body.